Datasets are described using an association. Three types of associations are form, direction, and strength, and any dataset with two variables has all three or none at all. A study was done on high school students measuring the amount of time they studied versus their grade. You can see in the graph that the more the students studied, the higher their grade was in that class. The form of this graph is linear. Another study was done looking at the amount people got infected from a virus over time. They found that as people got sick, they were each infecting people more and more. The more people got infected, the faster it spread. The form of this graph is exponential. Direction is what way the graph is pointing. In the first two graphs, they are both going up, so they have a positive direction. Another study was done looking at the amount of absences a student has in their grade. They found a negative correlation proving that students who attend school get better grades. Strength is another way of describing a dataset. In graph 1, we see a dataset that has a weak strength. This means that you can see a small trend, but nothing very specific. In graph 2, we see a strong association. There is an obvious trend that you can follow. Sometimes two variables aren't related to each other and there is no association, and that is what we see in graph 3. We also have outliers. Outliers are something that doesn't fit the data. In graph 4, you can see this in the top left. In all of the graphs we have a slope. Slope is a way of describing the angle of the graph. In the first graph, we see a regression line. A regression line is a line that is calculated to be as close to the points as possible. On the second graph, we see an influential point circled in blue. This data set is the same as the first one, but we have an outlier. An outlier pulls the regression line towards it because it is an influential point. Influential points can totally change a data set. Graph 3 has no form, no direction, and no strength. In graph 4, we see what y-intercept is. Y-intercept is where the graph crosses the y-axis. This is circled in green. Think you're a master yet? Pause the video and write down the form, direction, and strength of all three graphs. Are you ready? Graph 1 has an exponential form, positive direction, and a strong strength. Graph 2 has a linear form, negative direction, and a weak strength. Graph 3 has absolutely nothing. No form, no direction, and no strength. It's completely random. Graph 4 has a linear form, a positive direction, and a strong strength with a few outliers.